To me, stepping out of faith means moving in the direction that makes the most sense to you and that feels right to you, even though it may not be the easiest path or the path that makes the most sense. Just knowing that deep down it makes sense to you and it's right to you and you feel that's what you need to do.
Stepping out in faith is really stepping out and saying, this is who I am, this is what I believe in, this is what I represent, and you may not like it, you may not agree with it, but it's me. Jonathan and I are we started off just as friends. We just kind of fell and happened. We did not plan this. He actually just kissed me one night out of the blue, and that was it. It's nice to know that we really did find that person that matches our other half and brings out the best in us and helps us through our worst parts. And I spent my whole life wanting to get married, wanting to have kids, and all of a sudden the closer I got to actually getting married and actually having a family, the more scared I got because I wanted to make sure I was doing what was right for us forever, not just right now.
I enjoyed coming to St. John's. I enjoyed the people. There was just a little bit of a disconnect when it came to the sermons,
And one of the big things that I got nervous about was, I didn't want church to feel like an obligation to him or a requirement for us to be married, but I also knew that I wanted it to be in my life.
There was just a little bit of a disconnect when it came to the sermons, and sometimes it would connect and I would feel in tune with it. Other times I didn't know if I necessarily made a connection with the story or believed the story in its entirety or the parable or whatever it was that day.
I can't just choose John. I want to choose God as well. And so I remember there was a couple services we stayed after church really late together and just hung out in the sanctuary, and I was just like, babe, I love you, I want to marry you, you're my best friend, but I don't want to come to church by myself.
And so I felt like, maybe that meant that this wasn't for me, or I don't have the right religion, or
I want to raise my kids by myself in church. So I need to know if this is something you'll do with me, that you're willing to do with me, that you're passionate about. And that's when he went and talked to Pastor Jen.
And I did kind of seek out Pastor Jen, and she kind of laid the foundation of what being a Lutheran was really about. And that's after that I made the decision to start taking the membership classes and had a really good group of people.
You realized it wasn't just you?
I realized it wasn't just me, and that that the Lutheran religion kind of fit with my faith, and it didn't feel forced after that. And even though I still, even to this day, have trouble making the connection on Sundays, on Saturdays and Mondays and Tuesdays, when they have other stuff going on, like the food pantry or the Taste of St. John, or whatever's going on that week. Bowling dinners are really cool for us. So
yeah.
During those days, I have no trouble making the connection, and I think really that for me signifies what being a Lutheran is all about.
Do we feel like we need to step out because we're a biracial couple and young and newly married? And I do, personally. I grew up in a family that kind of had expectations, I guess. I was raised to see everyone as equals, and I was raised to see no color, like we were all the same person. But when it came to getting married, I was kind of expected to marry someone that looked like me. But Jonathan helped me in probably the most vulnerable, rock bottom time in my life, and I didn't like who I was, and he helped me realize that although I had some very negative qualities, I was a really good person and that I had a really good heart, and I doubt that a lot of days. But he reminds me, and I remember having a conversation with my dad, and I said, Dad, I love you, I respect you, your opinion matters to me, but you cannot be the only reason why I don't date this man. Because just because he doesn't look like me or comes from a different kind of family doesn't mean that his blood doesn't still run red, that he doesn't believe in the same things that I believe in, that we don't want the same things out of life. And that's kind of how we handle every situation.
We have lots of friends, tons of family. So with that comes a lot of opinions, a lot of input on what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong,
How we're doing it.
And I think that's one way we step out is having the solidarity to say, maybe we're doing something or moving in a direction that no one else agrees on. But I think as long as at the end of the day, if I agree with it and she agrees with it, then it's what we're doing. Marriage is a very faith-based thing, and not necessarily religiously, although, it's good to have that foundation, but everyone kind of always alludes to, like, the first year of marriage is like the honeymoon year, or it's really not. It was, for us, the first year was pretty hard. I think that is where our faith kind of carried us through.
If anything, I feel like our faith got deeper the first year of our marriage, because it wasn't, I agree with Jonathan, it wasn't, we stood up there and we said those vows in front of our family, our friends, and God, and we meant every word of them, and we knew that no matter what happened, we would do it together. So that's just kind of how we want to live our life. We want to make sure that we have our faith as our foundation. That's kind of what our motto is: food, family, friends, and faith.